Tonight, disturbing new details in the case of Elnaz Hajtamiri, the woman who was abducted from Wasaga Beach in January.
We did some surveillance, we tried to locate her. We did locate her.
CBC Toronto learns Hajtamiri's ex-boyfriend allegedly hired a private investigator to watch her movements in the days leading up to her disappearance. Plus,
this is our vision to make life better for people in Ontario now.
The NDP releasing its full election platform today, the first provincial party to do so. From an income tax freeze to fixing the healthcare system, what they are promising Ontarians. And
I have hope and faith in the Raptors. We're going to do this. We're going to make history tonight.
Another do-or-die game for the Raptors tonight as they face off against the 76ers in Game 5. Can they stave off elimination again and bring Game 6 back to Toronto? Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. Well, they already faced elimination once on Saturday. Tonight, the Raptors in the same boat, another must-win situation, facing off against the 76ers in Game 5 in Philadelphia. Our Greg Ross joins us now live from Jurassic Park. And Greg, the rain didn't stop many fans from coming out there to cheer on the team with hopes they can bring it home for Game 6 on Thursday.
I'll tell you what, Kelda, this is now a series. The Raptors coming up big when they really needed it in Game 5. And now, after trailing 3-0 in this series, they have stormed back. They now trail 3-2, heading to Game 6, which will be played back here at Scotiabank Arena on Thursday night. So the Raptors with all the momentum right now after this big 103-88 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. And you can tell just by listening to that score, the key to the game for the Raptors was defense. Defense, 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 which has been their bread and butter all season long, and they were fantastic when it comes to their own end of the court in this game tonight. So the Raptors now seemingly in control of this series. I shouldn't say they're in control. They're still down 3-2, but the momentum has definitely swung to their end, and the fans here could feel it. It was a miserable night in downtown Toronto. The rain coming down for quite a bit of this night. The fans, they were soggy, but they went home happy.
Yeah, it is a series, and Fred VanVleet was out, so him taking, he was injured, his knee was injured, so putting in a bigger lineup there really put pressure on them. They couldn't move out there. We played some great defense, and now the pressure's on them. They got to win here, so we'll see what happens.
All I got to say is Raptors in 7. Let's go, baby. We the North.
This is a series. Let's go. Precious Achua, Scotty Barnes.
Good coaching, good defense.
Absolutely. Freddie, we miss you, but we did it. We did it, baby. Let's go.
Fan base behind you guys. Remember, it's the fan base behind you.
Also amazing about this game is the fact that the Raptors had to play it without All-Star Fred VanVleet in the lineup, who injured his hip in Game 4 on Saturday. So he was on the bench watching this game with the coaches, but the Raptors managed to get some great performances from players like rookie sensation Scotty Barnes, who missed Games 2 and 3 of this series with a sprained ankle, but he's back in a big way and helping these Raptors. Also, Pascal Siakam, who the last 2 games has really stepped it up for the Raptors. He has been fantastic. 34 points in Game 4. He had another 23 points in Game 5 tonight, and that's what the Raptors need. They need their veterans to step up and do what we've seen them do in the past. And that's what they've been doing in these last few games. The Raptors now come home with a chance to even this series at 3 games apiece. Kelda?
I hope they do it again on Thursday. Thanks so much, Greg. That's our Greg Ross live for us tonight. We have new details tonight in the mysterious case of Elnaz Hajtamiri. The 37-year-old woman was abducted from Wasaga Beach in January and is still missing. Now, CBC Toronto has learned her ex-boyfriend hired a private investigator to keep track of Hajtamiri in the days leading up to her abduction. Ryan Patrick Jones has the details.
Elnaz Hajtamiri was abducted more than 100 days ago from this home in Wasaga Beach. Police and family say she was dragged barefoot out of the house by 3 men wearing police gear and taken away in a white Lexus SUV around 8:30 at night on January 12th. She hasn't been seen or heard from since. Ontario Provincial Police haven't laid any charges in the abduction, but they have charged her ex-boyfriend with criminally harassing her in the days and weeks leading up to it. 34-year-old Mohamed Lilo is currently out on bail. Now, 3 sources tell CBC that Lilo hired GTA-based Investigations Plus Limited to surveil Hashtamiri in the days before she was taken. The company's owner, Gabriel Kojakaru, confirmed that Lilo enlisted his agency's services to locate her and watch her movements.
We did some surveillance, we tried to locate her, and, we did locate her. We just observed, nothing else. We never approached her or anything like that, no.
The private investigator says Lilo claimed he was a lawyer from Montreal and wanted to serve his ex-girlfriend with court papers because she had allegedly stolen money from him. He says Lilo gave his middle name, Nazar, but the investigator learned his full name through research. Kojakaru says Lilo hired his firm between December 6th and 9th to surveil Hashtamiri. The surveillance began at Hashtamiri's Richmond Hill condo, where she was attacked on December 20th by 2 men with a frying pan. Hashtamiri then went to stay with relatives in Wasaga Beach. Kojakaru says he conducted surveillance there, too, up until the day she was abducted by 3 men driving a stolen car.
In the day she was kidnapped, the investigator left around 6 p.m., I think, because, he's diabetic. He went, to eat and to do a shot like this insulin or whatever, so we stopped the investigation.
A source with direct knowledge tells CBC News that a surveillance expert who had previously worked the night shift was told on the morning of the abduction to stand down. Kojakaru denies that anyone directed him to stop surveillance, saying the timing was a coincidence.
When I heard the story, I didn't feel good at all. I was very depressed and very upset about the whole thing because we don't associate with criminals.
Mohammed Lilo's lawyer declined to comment for this story. So did the OPP. York Regional Police did arrest 1 man 2 weeks ago for the Richmond Hill frying pan attack, and they're seeking a second. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
For more on the abduction and to hear more from her family, head to our website at cbc.ca/Toronto. It's easier for some travelers to enter Canada starting today as more COVID-19 border measures are relaxed. But as Tele Ricci reports, tourism experts think it will still be a long time before the industry makes a full recovery.
When it comes to COVID-19 and travel, many say being flexible is now part of the itinerary.
We just basically said we're going to make the trip. Whatever the restrictions are, make sure we're prepared.
Public health measures were eased for some travelers starting today. Vaccinated travelers will no longer be required to provide a quarantine plan when entering the country. Unvaccinated children aged 5 to 11 who are with a vaccinated parent won't have to take a COVID-19 test to enter Canada.
We don't have to worry about so many rules and not getting them right.
Vaccinated travelers will also no longer have to mask in public spaces for 2 weeks after their trip or keep track of their close contacts.
But while the government is pulling back on some measures, it's keeping others around, like mandatory masking on planes and trains. The government also has no plans to end vaccine mandates for travelers.
I frankly like the idea of masks. I think it should become standard on flights. It'll just help people stay away from any types of viruses and such.
Definitely traveling with younger ones, it's very hard to get them to wear a mask, keep them on. I mean, as an adult, it's fine, but I feel people traveling with younger kids, it's a little bit of an inconvenience for them. So I would hope it goes back to normal.
So do many in the tourism industry.
Some of the things that will hinder us from getting back to where we were prior to the pandemic include, the confusion around what you do need to have as far as documentation and what the requirements are for travel. The other part of it will be, the labor challenge that we're all undergoing as well. So
Beth Potter says today's changes are a step in the right direction, and they're anticipating many visitors to Canada this summer. But tourism is still far from flourishing.
We think that at this point, we're not going to see numbers back to where we were prior to the pandemic until probably the end of 2025.
Canada Border Services Agency wants to remind travelers that everyone entering Canada is still required to fill out their information on the ArriveCan app. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
Commuters at Union Station can expect more travel disruptions. An ongoing labor management dispute at the station means service on a number of GO buses is being delayed or rerouted.
There's more options on a Monday than there are on the weekends. So less of an impact today as on the weekend, but it still means dozens and dozens of buses are impacted right now and are diverting.
Members of International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers walked off the job last Wednesday when the union and the Toronto Terminals Railway failed to reach an agreement. Wage increases is one of the main sticking points in the labor dispute. Metrolinx is asking commuters to check its website before traveling. Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Nick, pretty warm out there today, just a bit gloomy and wet.
Hey there, Kelda. Well, a little bit of a change in our weather pattern today. We still had the warm temperatures around 17, 18, 19 degrees across the GTA, but it did come with a little bit of rainfall today. That's clearing out, though, as we speak. Now, there's a look at some of the daytime highs, and you'll notice the warmer temperatures pushing off to the east, and that as the front starts to drag in some of those cooler temperatures. So here's where we're sitting now. The rain shower is basically pushing off to the east, and behind it, partly cloudy to mainly cloudy skies tonight. As we move through tomorrow, generally looking at cloudy skies in the forecast. The risk for some isolated showers here tomorrow as well, but it does get better as we head toward the end of the week. That's coming up in your 5-day forecast. For now, though, here's a look at tonight, 5 degrees through the overnight, and then tomorrow looking at a high of about 10 degrees, mainly cloudy skies, the risk for a few isolated showers. Now, I will say this, though. We are getting into a bit of a dip in these temperatures. We'll actually see temps dropping below zero, but then a very nice recovery toward the end of the week. That's coming up in your 5-day forecast.
Thanks so much, Nick. The provincial NDP is first out of the gate, releasing its full election platform tonight. Andrea Horwath's New Democrats are promising a range of measures if they form government after the June 2nd election. Now, a key theme in the party's pitch, making life more affordable. Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has those details.
Some pandemic elbow bumps with candidates as Andrea Horwath launches her 2022 campaign platform and lays out what an NDP government would do.
This is our vision to make life better for people in Ontario now and finally start to fix the things that matter most.
The NDP's platform emphasizes fixing the health system, including big promises on mental health, covering therapy and counseling costs through OHIP. There's a promise of universal pharmacare to cover the cost of all medications, as well as public dental coverage, even before any federal programs kick in.
We're going to tackle the cost of living. Make sure you don't have to shell out for necessities like prescription drugs and dental care.
Rather than pitching these as new social programs, Horwath is framing them as ways to save people money.
We're looking forward to being able to make sure that folks can have a more affordable life in Ontario.
We're seeing some old ideas, but adapted with today's vocabulary to try to attract the electorate's interest.
The NDP platform promises low and middle income households a 4-year income tax freeze and opens the door to unspecified tax hikes on corporations and high income earners.
We're going to ask those who have the most ability to pay to do exactly that and ensure that middle income and lower income families have no increases in their taxes because they simply cannot afford it.
Although the NDP's platform does list the costs of all of their promises, it does not contain a full fiscal plan. Horwath says that will come, but only after the government delivers its budget on Thursday.
We decided that when Doug Ford figured he was going to kick the budget down the road by about a month, that people in Ontario deserve to know at the beginning of an election what the plans are of the various parties.
This is Andrea Horwath's 4th campaign as NDP leader. She has increased the party's seat count in each successive election. But even doing that yet again won't really be a reason to celebrate unless she forms government this time. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
In a pre-election promise today, the Progressive Conservatives say they will invest $1 billion to expand home care over the next 3 years.
This investment will not only allow patients to receive the care they need in the comfort of their own home, But home care also helps to reduce pressures on other healthcare settings.
Minister Elliott says 700,000 Ontario families rely on home care annually to look after seniors and other family members. The funding will be used to recruit and train more home care workers. And the Ontario Liberals are promising to increase the amount of money low-income seniors receive from the province.
If elected on June 2nd, Ontario Liberals will top up the existing pension enhancement in Ontario and double the amount that eligible seniors can receive by bringing that up to an additional $1,000 per year for those eligible seniors.
Stephen Del Duca says the Liberal Party would increase the threshold of eligibility to $25,000 for a single senior and $50,000 for a couple. He says the money would allow more seniors to stay at home. Del Duca says the plan would cost the province about $250 million a year. Welcome back. A sentencing hearing was held today for Brady Robertson, the young man responsible for a fatal collision that took the lives of a mother and her 3 children nearly 2 years ago. Robertson was charged with both impaired driving and dangerous driving after he ran a red light at a busy Brampton intersection. Ali Chiasson has more on today's court proceedings.
The Crown asked the judge to sentence Brady Robertson to 23 years in prison. They argued that sentence takes into account 3 aggravating factors. 1, causing the death of more than one person, in this case Carolina Ciasulo and her 3 young daughters. 2, Robertson's driving record, that includes 2 different license suspensions. And 3, the fact that he was speeding away to evade police before causing the deadly crash. The Crown compared this case to the fatal Marco Muzzo crash, which killed 4 members of the Neville Lake family back in 2015. Muzzo was given a sentence of 10 years for impaired driving. And so they argued Robertson should receive a longer sentence because of the added conviction of dangerous driving. Meanwhile, the defense believes a 7-year sentence would be more appropriate. They argued that as an adult he has no prior convictions and that while Robertson had 8 times the legal limit of THC in his blood at the time of the crash, the Crown failed to prove that he, as a chronic smoker, was truly impaired by the cannabis in his system. The defense went so far as to challenge the legal limit of blood THC levels, but that was rejected earlier this month, resulting in an automatic finding of guilty. Now that each side has made their case for the time that Robertson should serve, it's up to the judge. But before today's hearing was adjourned, Brady Robertson addressed the court to say, quote, "It should have been me. I tell myself that every morning. An apology doesn't change what I did, but I want it to be known that I am deeply tormented by what I did." And to the Ciasulo family, he says, "I am 100% responsible for this and I take complete accountability, though this doesn't bring your family back." Robertson will be sentenced May 16th. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Brampton.
A Brampton park has been renamed in honor of slain Toronto police officer Jeffrey Northrup.
Jeff would have been very humbled. He would have said that he is not deserving, that he didn't do anything special. My family appreciates that our home, the city of Brampton, is recognizing Jeff in this very honorable way.
Northrup and his family lived in Brampton. The Toronto Police Detective Constable was killed last year after he was struck by a vehicle in the parking garage at City Hall. Investigators called his death an intentional and deliberate act. Omar Zamir was charged with first-degree murder and is now awaiting trial. Formerly known as Northampton Park, the newly dedicated Northrup Park is located near Dixie and Williams Parkway. Let's go back to Nick now. And Nick, the cool temperatures aren't done with us yet. We have a few chilly nights coming up.
Well, Cal, as I mentioned, a bit of a shift in our weather pattern here as temperatures drop. Of course, we've had the rain showers as well that are clearing out. Here is a look at your weather headlines. So the showers move out. Partly cloudy skies tonight to mainly cloudy, depending on where you are. Temps, though, are going to dip down below freezing for a couple of nights here. If you've got plants that are outside, you'll want to cover them or bring them inside, at least for the next couple of nights. But as we head through the midweek and the end of the week, it will be worth the wait. Here is a look at the forecast. Rain showers clearing out. Tomorrow, may see a hint of sunshine there. Generally, though, it's going to be cloudy. It looks like we'll see a few isolated showers, especially toward the later part of the day tomorrow. Then as we move through Wednesday morning, yeah, that blue stuff over there, that's actually snow, or at least snow flurries. And this is as that cold weather starts to move in. So winds shift out of the northwest or the west. You'll see some snow up in the lee of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, and some of that is actually going to filter down across the Golden Horseshoe as well. It doesn't last and it doesn't accumulate as temperatures through the daytime are back up above the 0 mark. But it'll be a little chilly as we head through Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, though, all looking pretty good. So that's where the wait becomes worth it. Winds are going to be a little breezy over the next couple of days. So we'll see the winds out of the southwest shifting to a more westerly direction and then a northwesterly direction. That's going to drag in some cooler temperatures. Over the next couple of days, look for winds to be 20 gusting to about 40 kilometers per hour. And then it slowly begins to taper off toward the end of the week. For the forecast, southwestern Ontario, temperatures about 4 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Golden Horseshoe, more or less the same, a little bit more in the way of cloud cover and some isolated showers clearing out over the next couple of hours. 9-10 degrees across the GTA. And then Wednesday, this is a little cooler here at 4 degrees. You'll notice the overnight lows there. But double digits, or at least low double digits, back up around seasonal and lots of sunshine. This, by the way, stretches right through until Sunday. Kelda.
Thanks so much, Nick. And tonight, the world's richest person has now made a multi-billion-dollar deal to buy Twitter. Elon Musk, the man behind Tesla and SpaceX, offered $44 billion US to buy Twitter. And today, Twitter announced his offer had unanimous approval from the company's board of directors. The deal is expected to close this year, subject to approval, and will make Twitter a privately held company. And the first privately funded American mission to the International Space Station has returned to Earth. There were 4 people on board, 3 wealthy businessmen, including Canadian Mark Pathy, and an astronaut escort. The 3 tourists paid each about $55 billion for the 17-day journey. Now, the trip was supposed to last a little over a week, but dicey weather kept them in orbit almost twice as long as intended. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Have a great night.